Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't met me before, my name's Sarah Hunt and I'm an intuitive healer and past life regression therapist. And today I'd like to talk to you about a powerful healing method that I've used for many years with both clients and students that can help to resolve relationship tension, release old pain, and bring a sense of understanding of situations that have happened between you and somebody else so that you can come to a place of forgiveness. It's a very gentle, safe, and incredibly transformative technique that I use that allows you to talk to the person on a soul level because the soul's always listening. And it's especially helpful when face-to-face conversations feel too difficult, too emotional, or just impossible for some reason. So what I do is guide the client into a meditative state so that they feel calm and safe and that they're present in the moment that they need to be in. And then we invite the other person or the soul of that person to come forward and be with them. I always make sure that the space is energetically protected and held in love before any kind of communication begins. And once the connection is made, we always start by sending love to the other person. And that's not to excuse their behavior or what they said, but to create a field of compassion so that healing can happen. And for them to know that even though they did what they did, the person still loves them. There's still that unconditional love for them there. The client is then encouraged to express how they feel. Now, they don't talk out loud to me. I get them to talk in their head and have a conversation in their head with the other person. And what I ask them to do is to speak their truth so that they can express everything that they've been unable to say to that person. They can ask questions that they've never had answered. And they can also listen to the soul level response as well from the other person. And so it can give them a very deep understanding and perspective on what happened and why it happened, which allows them to move into a place of forgiveness. And then, of course, when you're in a place of forgiveness, it's much easier to let go of what actually happened. This method is particularly helpful for various scenarios, and I'll just run through each one quickly for you. And I found it can have real profound shifts in these particular scenarios. So, firstly, during past life regression, um, often we hold on to emotions and we bring them from lifetime to lifetime, and that we often don't understand why that's happened. And during a past life regression, sometimes what happens is it becomes very obvious that specific healing needs to be done or conversations need to be had between the person having the regression and people that have been in the scenario that they have gone back into. And so I will sit them together so that they can have a moment to communicate with each other to gain greater insight and understanding of what happened in the past life that's been explored and why it happened, so that it makes it much easier to let go of the emotion and to bring closure to that so that the energies can completely realign and no longer affect the current experience. When the person has passed over, this is a perfect way of having a communication with them. Sometimes people leave the earth plane and there's been a lot unsaid. There's not been opportunity to ask questions to gain greater insight. So this is a great way for someone who's really struggling with the passing of a loved one to communicate with them so that they can finally let go of them and allow them to move on the next part of their journey. When someone isn't emotionally mature enough to listen or to understand, um, then this is a great method to use. Not everyone has the emotional capacity to hear the truth without becoming defensive or dismissive and then creating conflict, leading to greater problems. Sometimes the person isn't ready consciously to receive what needs to be said. And even if you're ready to talk, they may not be. And so this creates a safe alternative for you so that you, rather than you holding on to what's being said or pushing it down, it gives you that opportunity to have the conversation with them. Also, when someone's afraid of how their words will be received, they may stay silent, push everything down inside them. And of course, this is detrimental to us because we're not being authentic. And so this method gives them a voice again and allows them to say things without the fear of rejection being there. Also, it's excellent when you've got someone who constantly interrupts, talks over you, or dominates the conversation. So you just can't get a word in. You're not given the space to actually speak and be able to speak your truth. And so this soul level communication restores balance and allows that to happen. Also, it's great for situations where the relationship dynamic is unsafe or abusive, and it means that the person affected can have that conversation and start that healing process without having to put themselves in a situation which may erupt into big drama or more problems than they are able to deal with on the conscious level. Boundaries are something that can get broken down and need to be repaired or reinstated. And sometimes when boundaries are overstepped, direct conversation isn't appropriate. And so it does allow the person affected to have a conversation, to be able to re-establish their boundaries, and the other person to understand that the boundaries have been re-established and shouldn't be stepped over. They understand it on a soul level. Also, if you've got somebody who really struggles to express themselves clearly, this gives them a space for voice without fear and without pressure. And I always make sure that people have enough time to say what they need to say, to listen to what's being said back to them, and then to be able to ask questions and again listen to the answers before I move them on to something else. If the issue is energetic or karmic or rooted in a soul contract, then it does give a deeper understanding of the lesson that was being learned at the time. And then once you've got that understanding, it's much easier to dissolve long held pain that's just been sitting there or other emotions that need to be released. And of course, the lovely thing about this is that it can be done whether the other person is ready to heal or not. This is about your healing. It's about you being able to let go of what happened and move forward. And then, of course, what it does is have a big ripple effect out onto the other person. So you're not only healing yourself, you're helping to heal them, you're helping them to be able to move forward as well, because you will change your perspective, you will change the way that you react and respond to them. And by doing that, they will change the way that they react and respond to you. So this method works because it bypasses defensiveness, it stops conflict, it bypasses ego responses, emotional immaturity, fear, avoidance techniques, and the limits of the human personality. It allows two souls to communicate in love and truth, and so they can be authentic. And the shifts that happen are very real. You know, clients tell me that they often feel lighter, freer, calmer than they have felt for years around that person. And they notice the change in the person as well. Sometimes it means that there is a parting of the ways, but it happens in a kind of natural way rather than with lots of drama and conflict around. But a lot of the time, There's a shift and a change in the relationship that brings people closer together, more able to communicate with each other um, in the physical. The other person doesn't need to to participate consciously, so there doesn't need to be conscious communication going on, and that's one of the beauties of this technique. And because we're working at soul level, the soul is always aware, it's always listening, and it's always capable of love. So if this resonates with you as a technique that you think might be useful to you, might be helpful, you have a meditation that can be used to help you through this process, and you'll find the link for that below this video. And if it's something that you would like to experience through healing with me or through past life regression, then you're always welcome to reach out, and you'll find details of my website in my bio.